Well, here we go again, folks. We have a severe weather risk on the books today. And believe it or not, there's been a little bit of downgrade with the tornado risk today. But overall, we have a enhanced risk in central Kansas, parts of northwestern Missouri, northern Oklahoma, larger slight risk going all the way down to Dallas, up towards Omaha, Nebraska, Des Moines, Iowa, parts of Missouri, Garden City, Kansas, and a larger marginal risk all the way down to the Gulf Coast and the Texas-Mexico border this morning. Go back to tornado risk. There was a slight risk in this area. They removed it. And we have just this 5% and 2% tornado risk here, with a small area potential of EF2 or higher in the stippled region all the way down to Dallas, up through Wichita, Kansas, Norman, Oklahoma, just to the west of Kansas City, south of Lincoln, Nebraska, Jetmore, Dodge City, Kansas here. So tornado threat in general, as far as density goes, not that impressive today. But the hail risk, looking like it's going to be have some pretty efficient hail makers here, with 30% risk centered on this central area where you have the reds here. A slight risk going all the way down to Dallas, Texas, Wichita Falls, Garden City, Kansas, Omaha, Nebraska. Anywhere in the stippled region, we could have up to 2-inch hail in diameter. Remember yesterday we had 3 to 4-inch hailstones, so still impactful today. Wind risk. We don't have any like hurricane force wind gusts expected, although we have this 30% chance of 50-knot winds within 25 miles of a given location. Emporia, Kansas City, Hutchinson, Kansas, Wichita, near Joplin, Missouri here as well, St. Joseph, slight risk surrounding it. And then we have this marginal risk of 50-knot winds anywhere in the brown, 5%, 15%, and 30% here. So overall, tornado threat has gone down some. Wind risk is about the same, and the hail risk is stayed about the same as well. So that's good news for today. So let's get started for the analysis of today's severe weather threat. Right? First, we're going to start the surface here, and this is the SPC missile analysis page. It shows the current surface feature here. Looks like a surface low down here in the Texas, with a maybe a ridge of high pressure up to the north of it here. Maybe another part, still kind of a nebulous surface high, right, or surface low pressure here. All right, in the next couple hours, forecast to kind of just meander there and kind of weaken actually over time. Okay, so becomes more of a broad surface feature there. Okay, so that's gonna be a player in today's weather, but you know, that's right, it is right now. I wanted to show those initial conditions to you, at least right now. As far as the mid levels of the atmosphere, not a lot going on this morning. Some showers and storms, and you see the mid-level feature that's forecast to move through is hanging out west here, and will eventually start swinging to the east. Maybe some mid-level perturbations in the flow here. Okay, let's take a look at these, like this right here. Okay, and we'll look at the future of this a little bit later, but I want to show you these conditions today. Maybe another short wave right here, short wave here, maybe one here as well. Just a lot of different little kinks in the height lines here, but overall not a lot of stuff going on right now. Okay, so let's look a little bit closer to the surface here. This is 700 millibars. You can make out more of the mid-level feature here and different perturbations in the flow as well. With this kind of a pressure difference there, maybe something coming through here, right? But generally at the the lower levels, we're starting to get a southerly flow here. Now if we go at 850 millibars, which is a little closer to the surface, all right, kind of just not a lot to show here with the low level jet, at least going into today, right? But at least right now we're not expecting any really severe weather, but you see it wants to bring some storms popping off here in the parts of eastern Oklahoma. But at least right now, there's not a lot going on. So not a lot of exciting things to talk about right now, but I want to give these initial conditions here. Here's our early morning satellite loop, all right? And we can see it's overlaid by the radar with convection that's fired in parts of southern Oklahoma and parts of Oklahoma as well, moving to the south and east here. But maybe some convection firing coming off the higher terrain here. Sorry for the noise. Take that off. But you can see surface low generally in this area, right? Remember we talked about that. And what looks like maybe a boundary here, somewhere in here. Hard to really make out too well, but let's put this back a little bit. Anyway, maybe a boundary here. And that's about it right there. So got that surface low there, maybe a warm front in this area, kind of a nebulous flow pattern right now. But you see up to the north and west, we got this northerly flow, and right along here, looks like there's a boundary here as well, somewhere in there, right? So what does this all mean? Well, right now, there's not a lot of convection going on here. I don't really have a visible satellite to look at this yet because the visible isn't up. Let me take the radar off real quick. Yeah, so we don't have the visible satellite. I was going to try to look at cloud cover here. We look at the air mass. You can see to the south of this dry air from the EML pushing to the north, right? You can make this out. This is air mass. How dry it is right here. So this is coming out of the southwest here. It's going to overspread the region. Will likely move up to the north in this area here today. And what does that mean? That means there'll be a cap in place. I think after this initial convection moves through, right? These storms or just showers moving through the area. So with this very dry air poised to move up in this area, we get a cap in place initially till we can get some convection to fire this afternoon. At least that's the theory, right? But you can make out how brown the colors are here. So, there's a boundary here. The moist air up to the north, the dry air from the desert moving in here. So it's important to look at this because when you have this dry air in the mid-levels, it prohibits initial convection from firing here. And then if you get some forcing that moves through at some point during the day, you have discrete cells firing up. So you see some remnant dry air back here as well. So very dry out to the west here. So let's look at some model outputs of what the models are showing right now for convection, when it'll fire, and how intense it'll be. So this is the HREF CAM ensemble browser. So it allows us to look at the different model outputs, and it gives us a good overall view of what could happen in a general sense. Okay, so taking the HRRR model, starting with about now, it depicts the environment pretty well here. And I'll switch this to the central US view. All right, so showers and storms ongoing. 11 a.m. UTC was about now when I'm recording this. Once the fire up some storms initially in the northern edge of this line here. This is likely a boundary that's pushing through, right? And this is around, midnight UTC, which is around 8 p.m. some rotating storms moving to the north, and then way into the overnight hours on the back side of this, we get some enhancement as well as another shortwave moves through. So let's look at the 500 millibar heights with my cams here. Seeing not a lot of forcing going on initially. Maybe a shortwave moving through up here. But you see back to the west, some height falls, and then you get some enhancement eventually here overnight and early morning hours with the flow, right? Let's look at 700 millibars. Maybe a short wave up in here. And then we get what looks like maybe a surface cyclone close to out here, right? And you have this forcing that's going on right here. Maybe another short wave moving through here. But you see the trough, the main trough is hanging back this way. That's gonna be our player. This is gonna be our player in the weather story tomorrow. So this is like 3 a.m. Central Time. So let's go back. Let's go to 850, which is closer to the surface. Surface low looks to be developing here. Broad surface feature. And now let's go to dew points. And so you can really make out the surface feature better here. Initially wants to maybe develop a surface low, that one in Texas. You see how it kind of dissipates, right? And the dew points really start surging to the north here. Another surface low develops down here to the west of our threat area, all right, in the overnight hours. Maybe consolidates a little bit here, 1,000 millibar surface low, okay, in the overnight hours, developing in this area. So that's going to bring dew point temperatures way up to the north here that are favorable for severe storms. Now let's look at surface-based CAPE values as we get into today. They surge northward, and with that low-level jet, they really don't make it that far up to the north here. Not as high as it was yesterday in this area compared to down there, but sufficient for severe weather. Most unstable CAPE, which means the most CAPE throughout the column, right? And it also has updraft helicity values here on the map showing where convection is firing. Okay, a lot of convection firing in the overnight hours here. So really, you know, the main threat here is in the overnight hours, like starting around evening and overnight, and it moves to the east. All right, so now as far as cloud cover, this model is showing some high-level clouds to start with, and we maybe get some clearing. I don't know, got some low-level clouds hanging in there. We'll see if we get filtered sunshine to an area of interest to get some more instability here. So we'll have to see if this ends up clearing out or not. All right, so if you take, I took a sounding from the same area for the wrap about 18 hours from when this model was run. So this would be around midnight central, right? So around 9 p.m. or so. You can see quite an impressive holograph here. And you can see we also have a pretty significant hail parameters as well. 3 CAPE is not is more than sufficient at the lower levels for that. Effective shear 40 knots. That's more than enough. Near 200 meters square per second square. Storm relative helicity values. So the potential is there for EF2 plus, which is SPC has outlined here. So I could spend all day going over the soundings here, but you get the idea that the confidence is increasing for strong tornadoes in this area overnight, along with some severe hail as well. And the column is looking to be pretty moist here So these supercells have some backing here. May end up not being as photogenic as you would like, but quite enough instability aloft to really get some good hail, and lower levels sufficient surface-based cape and low level shear to give us tornadoes. So be careful out there, guys. I hope y'all got something out of this. Appreciate y'all watching. God bless.